class to turn the recording on when we actually do start. We've got 13 people remote, and we've got 3 individuals in the class here. Right. Okay. So this course is somewhat unique and different than what we have offered over the last 10 plus years, that we are making a fundamental change in it. We are introducing SAP HANA with this course, right, which is now becoming a de facto requirement for all basis administration work going forward. That it's most of the customers have HANA in place, right, and they're expecting that the basis administrators are going to be knowledgeable in that space and going to pick up that technology, right, from a database administration standpoint, right. So HANA was introduced, or has been mainstream for the last year and a half, 2 years, and people have been asking us to augment the course to include that. We did some theoretical coverage in the last batch, and now we are introducing it in a more formal way. Amol, can you assist Femi, please?
Yeah, sure. I just pinged him. I'm waiting for his response.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to obviously welcome you all, to this course, and I think you're going to have a very comprehensive review and understanding of the basis curriculum as well as HANA, as you exit this course. You're making the right decision. We've put in a lot of effort in this course always, but this time around it's even more special because we're introducing HANA, so we're putting a lot of work into enhancing the curriculum. We're going to talk about the coach background briefly, the instructor's background, followed by that. What is SAP, and what's HANA, the course content, the syllabus which we are going to cover, the training material which we are going to use, training methodology, why SAP basis, why people tend to gravitate to such a course, or why you might have, connectivity to our systems. We're going to look at that through SAP GUI, SAP technical architecture, and a little bit of HANA architecture, getting your hands dirty in that space, frequently asked questions, and then general open Q&A which you might have, right? So the goal today is make sure that when you leave today after 3 hours that you feel comfortable, that you know what you're getting into, right? That you're making the right decision or not, right? And what the course is going to entail, right? We don't want to overwhelm you by just teaching day one, right? So we want to kind of give you a good, well-rounded perspective, yet at the same time, just so that you don't believe or understand that this is a walk in the park, we are making sure that you guys appreciate that, what the transactions are going to look like, right? What kind of work you would do on a day in and day out basis. So we want to kind of get your hands dirty from that perspective. From a coach introduction standpoint, we focus on SAP consulting services, right? 90% of what we do is around SAP or has emanated from SAP. We are an SAP services partner as well. We do some related SAP work as well, like in database services, web technical services, but we have emanated into these areas from having the background in SAP. Started in 1998. The consultant and staff number is slightly old. It's a little over 100 now. We have 20 plus clients spread across various industries, right? And I'm only mentioning the direct clients here where we are actively doing work. So it does not have an industry specific nature to it, right? Because CPG, AES is a big world's number one public utility, diversified public utility company, especially for the third world countries. IBM, you all guys know, Fujifilm is a conglomerate. IPG is world's number 2 advertising agency, right? We have partnerships with SAP, with AWS. AWS is world's premier. What? What is AWS? No? Okay. Why not? What? Just give me a sense of. Do you read any IT magazines at home? No. What's your background?
I did the computer information a long time ago. That's right there.
So, and I'll just, I just ask that question because it's a rhetorical leading question, right? There's so much change in IT industry, right, that if you do not read the trade rags, as they call them, even you could be practicing in the industry, you might not understand how it is evolving because it's so fast, the rate of change. So AWS is Amazon Web Services. So the same company which is selling you toothpastes, right, online, is now the world's premier cloud service provider. Right? So it's a big change, right? We, the Coach account with Amazon, right? We buy pens from the same account and we buy computer services from the same account, right? So transformational is what they have brought to the world in terms of commoditizing, right? So this is truly commoditizing, right? I can buy a big pen from the same account and I can buy HANA services from the same account, right? So one needs to appreciate that. Partnerships with IBM and HP. We are a minority business enterprise. We are a small business enterprise, and we pride ourselves in both of those areas. We have a world headquarters here in Ramsey, New Jersey, where you guys sit today. We have a solution delivery center in Gurgaon, India, where Amol is, right, and a lot of you have interacted with him. Gaurav is there as well. And then we have a regional headquarters in New Delhi, India, more from a financial standpoint. So not much IT work gets done out of that area. Partial client listing. And as you can see, since we do SAP work, a lot of these are Fortune 500 companies. In fact, all of them are Fortune 500 companies, right, where we have done work. And that's the nature of ERP work, right, because in the past at least, only Fortune 500 companies could afford implementations like SAP. Now, with the onset of cloud, with the onset of software as a service, things are changing, right? And fundamental changes, and one needs to appreciate it. I can just give you few examples, and the reason I'm taking the time to give you these examples, again, guys, Goa, Ramadugu, please do not share any content. You just need to sit back in your chair, legs high up on the ottoman, and just watch. Right? I have to do all the dirty work today. Right, so however, now with the advent of cloud computing, software as a service, fundamental changes, right? Who is the CEO of Microsoft?
Okay, is it shut down?
Long time ago.
There's another guy, not that name.
All right. Come on, guys. You are.
But he's from India. I know.
I'm getting upset now.
Oh.
Okay, Satya Nadella is the CEO of Microsoft, right? And that's actually not the question. This was a question so that I could ask the actual question. What is Microsoft's core business, where they generate most of their revenue from? Where do they generate most of their revenue from?
From Windows.
From Windows operating system and Microsoft Office, right? Traditional, what they call perpetual licensing model. Yet, both of those executive VPs, right, were passed over by Satya Nadella, right? The person who led, the platforms division, which is the operating system division, as well as the person who led Microsoft Office. Femi, please do not share any content, right? I have to be sharing. We have given you that access just because we want to be able to see your screens in certain cases when we are helping troubleshoot, but not now. Okay. So the reason I was getting to that point is Satya Nadella, when he was an executive VP, what area do you think he was leading at Microsoft? How come he overshadowed the other two? Yes. He was leading Microsoft's MS Azure cloud platform, right? He is the one who built it, and he is the one who took Microsoft Office to cloud using O365, Office 365. So this is a very strategic decision making, which has a fundamental, repercussion in the industry, is that the biggest independent software manufacturer in the world, when they chose their CEO, they chose from their cloud division, which is not the biggest, but the fastest growing. Satya Nadella was the person who was leading it. And the two things he brought to the table were O365, which is taking Microsoft Office to the cloud. And the second was what we all now know as MS Azure, Microsoft's Azure platform, which is similar to Amazon Web Services. And I'm stating this is because in this course, we are going to use cloud very extensively. Anything and everything you're going to do is on the cloud. So not only are you going to be exposed to HANA, you're going to learn about HANA, which is the new in-memory capability. You're going to learn about cloud a lot as well. And so if some of what I've told you comes as a surprise, that means you need to read more of the trade magazines and the news in the IT space. It is very critical, right? And also, since you're going to be you're looking at SAP's course here, what I would also recommend is the following. This book. Who is Bill McDermott? Bill McDermott is the CEO, first non-German CEO of SAP, and the first solo CEO of SAP, because SAP as a company had a tendency to always have two individuals as CEOs, right? And he wrote a book maybe a year ago now, October 2014, right? So less than a year ago, called Winner's Dream, A Journey from Corner Store to Corner Office. Very interesting read. Some of it is almost seems fictional, but please, for those who like to read or those who want to kind of see how is SAP going to morph into the future over the next 10, 15, 20 years, the person who's laying the foundation for that has actually given you that insight in the last 2 chapters of this book. So take the time, and for those who can spend a little bit more, get the audio book. It is in his own voice, right? And very eloquent speaker. And I don't want to give you too much, right? Once you review the book, you will appreciate. If you have the audio book, I had the audio book, right, which I listened to. Very impressive speaker as well. Okay. Our business model from Coach as a company, obviously our vision is SAP technology, consulting, and training services, and also including SQA, which is software quality assurance. Strategy is technical solution offerings in the SAP space using vertical integration. That means we pride ourselves in hiring, training, deploying, developing, and retaining the best talent, right? So organic growth, right? We didn't grow by acquisitions. We are not here, to have short timers. We actually feel that we can mold the right type of consultants in this space. So almost like an assembly line, right? We have our key partnerships, slightly dated here. We've got AWS as well, which I talked about. Our consultant population is both full-time, W-2, as well as contractors. And then obviously we have an offshore division in India and a lot of onshore consultants, probably a 3:1 split. 1/4 of our workforce is in India, 3/4 here in the US. We want to change it. We want to make it more heavier in India as time progresses. Vendors, we use the CBIS database, which is a database we have procured from a company, and it specializes in us being able to work with our consultant population, right? Understanding them as we recruit, hire from them, as well as to deal with our vendors. And then obviously our customers are large businesses, medium businesses, right? Large meaning Fortune 500, but now, as I told you, with the advent of cloud and with software as a service, SAP is going downstream to medium and small businesses. And when you read the book I told you about, you're going to see the advent of SuccessFactors, which is a company SAP bought. It's a cloud software as a service provider. Ariba, which is another company SAP bought, which is software as a service provider in the procurement space. Hybris, which is another company which SAP bought, which is again a cloud-based provider for omni-channel commerce. So you will see the trend, how Bill McDermott is thinking, and SAP in itself, even HANA is now available on the cloud, right? It's called HEC, HANA Enterprise Cloud, and HCP, which is HANA Cloud Platform, right? So fundamental changes coming in the industry. And what we know of as outsourcing and offshoring today, I think in the next 10 years, is going to be almost zero. What we are seeing now is what's called the reverse offshoring model, right? The labor arbitrage, which dictated India's prominence in the last 15 to 20 years, is changing. That means all those jobs are not coming back to US, but those jobs are disappearing because those jobs are done by a single individual in the US because of cloud service offering, right? As a case in point, there used to be a lot of Exchange administrators, MS Exchange, which is Microsoft's email system in the US. As part of outsourcing and offshoring, all of those jobs went to India, Philippines, China, etc., right? Now, with Office 365, millions of mailboxes can be supported by a single individual. So all those jobs just disappeared. They didn't come back to US, they just disappeared. And they're no longer there, they're no longer required. They're being done by a single individual in the US. Has anybody heard of Jim Cramer?
Yeah.
Okay. So look at Jim Cramer's, last 2 episodes. He delivered them, from San Francisco, where there is the Salesforce conference going on. Salesforce is the company which prides itself to bring cloud to the marketplace, right? The very first cloud platform was force.com, right, from Salesforce. So he kind of gave his last 2 addresses, from San Francisco, right? Very, very interesting, how he talks about what's transforming in the cloud industry, in the cloud space. So you can watch it on cnbc.com, right? The last 2 episodes for Thursday and Friday of last week. Our solution offerings. We have got a handful of solution offerings which we pride ourselves. They all revolve around SAP. Architect SAP, which is SAP Technical Architecture, Strategy and Design Services, which we provide to our clients. Most of the work which I do on a day-to-day basis is in that space. Also, most of the work which your fellow instructor is going to be does on a day-to-day basis. I'll introduce him shortly. Raj Ramakrishnan is also in the Architect SAP space. Then we got Remote SAP, which is Best Sure SAP Netweaver Systems Administration services we provide from offshore or from onshore, figuring out the right combination of it. That's a cornerstone of bulk of the work we do. Manage SAP is SAP Solution Manager Implementation and Consulting Services. Solution Manager is a tool from SAP which is used to manage SAP solutions. Turbo SAP, SAP Performance Management Services, which we provide for managing SAP performance, whether it's conducting a performance test, doing system sizing, troubleshooting performance issues, etc. Azure SAP is automated quality assurance, testing services in the SAP space using products like Put Test Professional, Quality Center, etc. Secure SAP is SAP Security Design and Administration Services, providing security-related consulting in the SAP space. Train SAP, very similar to what you sit in today. Similar courses also offer tailored to client specifications, right, as to what they really need, what's applicable to their environment. We help train in those areas and also introduce public training similar to this today. Consult SAP is pure staff augmentation, where we don't have a service offering, but we have a consultant or 2 which a client can use of ours to meet their needs, right? So that is Consult SAP. My background, my name is Ajay Dhingra, and I'm going to be teaching a portion of this course. Remainder of it is going to be taught by Raj Ramakrishnan, and he's going to introduce himself shortly. After this, you can look at my LinkedIn profile, offline when time permits. I got 20 plus years of IT experience. Bulk of it has been at Big 5 management consulting firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers and Accenture. That's where I started with. Of those 20 plus years, 16 plus years is in the SAP technology space in all different types of roles, whether project management, team lead, hands-on administrative work, architecture, etc. 12 plus SAP ERP implementations, 5 in the BW space, 4 in Solution Manager, couple in APO, SCM, which is supply chain management, portal, process integration, business objects, PPC, and of these, 8 of them have been full life cycle implementations. Full life cycle implementation means from development of the business case, which is being presented to the board, till the final go live, right, or a major go live. And a typical full life cycle in a Fortune 500 company would be, at least 3 to 5 years for a single full life cycle. So you can't do too many of those in your career span, right, in the SAP space. A certified SAP basis consultant with, SAP AG certification. I have my MBA and my master's, from the US, MBA from Stern Business School at NYU, and master's from Drexel University in Philadelphia. We have been teaching this course itself and related courses, for the past 15 years. So understand, what it takes to just knowing a content, which is one thing, but being able to present it in a fashion which can be appreciated by the students, where they can learn from it, they get motivated to learn and consume the information such that it retains, and they are able to then self-learn subsequent to that. With that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Raj Ramakrishnan. He is going to be the fellow instructor with whom we are going to co-share teaching this coursework. So Raj, why don't you introduce yourself to the class, please? Be a little loud so that the people who are here, not on their phones, but in the classroom can hear as well.
Sure, thanks Ajay. Yes, hello everyone. My name is Raj Ramakrishnan. So I will be, obviously, teaching some of the areas, especially on the HANA side. So I come from, more than 18 plus years of IT experience. Obviously, I started as a DBA. So, that transformed into, the basis administration. So, and then, working on lots of implementations and then, upgrade projects. One other thing is, if you are a basis administrator, obviously, you have to work on multiple products. It's not just, if you're Oracle DBA, you'll be just working on just Oracle, right? So you specifically work on that product. But basis area, it's a little bit different. You will be exposed to multiple products like ERP, those are things, they will be talking about. So, and also they call it as a bolt-ons, which are connected to the SAP, those kind of products. So, worked on a lot of those. So over the years, I've been working as a DBA as well as, sometimes, take up different roles, right? Managing the project itself, the SAP projects, right? So SAP projects, start from the beginning to the end. And also, team lead, basis lead, and also, administration itself, hands-on, sometimes you have to do it. And, worked on, like, as I mentioned, we are working on, right now we are working on for a Big Five consulting company. We are working on a technical architecture right now area, especially for a global rollout, involving HANA. So that's why, it's very, it's good for you because, these are all, both instructor are, hands-on, work with much experience. So we share our experience, which is a very good information for you guys, especially if you are starting. Very helpful, which you will not be getting if you are attending, even SAP training, right? So that's a very important point here. Also, I'm certified in the portal. We did the architecture as well, enterprise architecture, and also open group and architect from the open group. I have a master's in computer applications, and I've been teaching this for a while now. Both in SAP, especially in the SAP area. Mostly on the technical side, which is the basis side. That's all from now. So, like we will, talk about which areas, we'll cover, later. Mostly in the HANA, like I mentioned, mostly in the HANA area. So, like Ajay mentioned, we've been working along with the basis team right now, trying to get those servers, all the HANA servers and everything. We just, got all the exercise, we went through like a flow, right? So, how to get this from a, beginning to basic understanding to advanced level. So we will, go through that in a while. Thanks, Ajay. You can
Thanks, Raj. Thank you. All right, moving on. What is SAP, right? And I'm going to go through some of this material fast so that you guys can consume at your own pace, and also giving benefit of doubt to individuals who are already aware of this, right? So obviously, even though SAP has a specific acronym which has a German connotation to it, but what it means is systems, application, and products and data processing, right? So SAP specifically got this connotation when it came to America after releasing R3. This was in mid-1990s, right? It's the world's leading provider of enterprise application software, ERP, enterprise resource planning. These numbers are slightly dated, even at that time, close to 200,000 customers, not users, customers, right? That means 200,000 odd companies using SAP in 130 plus countries. Founded in 1972 by 5 former IBM employees, 80+% of the Fortune 500, that means 400 plus companies in the Fortune 500 use SAP. And that number might have even gone up since then. SAP prides itself in 5 products which make up its business suite. That's the core offering of SAP, right? So those are ERP, which is Enterprise Resource Planning, SCM, which is Supply Chain Management, CRM, which is Customer Relationship Management. This is what Salesforce also does. So Salesforce is the leader in that area. SAP is not the leader in that space. SRM, which is Supplier Relationship Management or Vendor Management. PLM, which is Product Lifecycle Management. So together, all of these 5 areas make up the business suite, and anything and everything you want to do in a traditional business to manage its resources, you can do using these products. Right. As you would see that there are a lot of TLAs, 3-letter acronyms, in what I'm talking about, and what you're going to see. But that's what IT is, right? It's there, number one, to make it difficult for the competition. That's why these companies invent these words, right, or continue to change them. But our goal is to make it simple for you. The SAP Business Suite application, which we just discussed, the big flagship product there is ERP, right? ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. It's also called as ECC6, which is Enterprise Central or Core Component. And in that product, you have the modules which some of you might have heard about, right? Like FICO for FI and controlling, SD for sales and distribution, MM for material management, PP for production planning, HR for human resources or human capital management, project systems, warehouse management, right? These are the modules in the product called ERP/ECC. All companies need these kind of capabilities, especially if they are finance. Definitely, all of them need. Others, depending upon whether you sell services or whether you sell products. Supply chain management, which is the act of getting from your supplier the raw material till you sell a finished product to your consumer. What all needs to happen, right? It's not easy. It's very complex. In fact, companies like Dell, if you look at it, even though you might think that it's a computer hardware company, but the way I look at it and a lot of other, subject matter experts in the industry look at it, it's really a supply chain company. Why it is so popular and why does it stand apart from others is because it's able to source products and components from throughout the world, put them together, and ship them to you, right? Dell is not manufacturing any chips, it's not manufacturing any memory, it's not manufacturing any disk drives, it's not manufacturing any component, right? It's rebranding them, maybe it is repackaging them, definitely assembling them. So all of that, make to order laptops, desktops, right? It's all part of supply chain. So their core competency is supply chain management. And if you are able to manage your supply chain effectively, you have what's called a sustainable competitive advantage in the industry, right? Others cannot match and beat you in it, right? Some of the complex build, which you have to do, you have to have a very good handle on the supply chain, right? Have you ever noticed sometimes you see the announcement that, Airbus sold $16 billion of, Dreamliners to Singapore Airlines and the delivery is going to happen 3 years from now? Why is it 3 years from now, right? What is special about it?
Because they collect all the product from the different company and put together and make the Airbus and so to Singapore company.
So one of the things there is that it is make to order, right? They're making it to order. And the BOM, the bill of material for a Dreamliner is in tens of millions of components which go in to make one, right? So, and Boeing is not manufacturing all of them. They're manufacturing some of them, but very few of them. All of them they're buying and putting it together to a specification, including the engine. So in supply chain management, right, demand planning is a module. How do you plan for the demand? Supply network planning. What's your supply network? Supply network is key, right? Where do you ship from, right? Or where do you source from? A lot of times you buy from Dell, you will see that you bought a desktop, but first you got the monitor, and the monitor is coming directly from Seoul, South Korea, right? And then the CPU unit is coming separately from some other place. Sometimes it has a keyboard in it, sometimes not, sometimes the manuals are being shipped from somewhere else, right? That means they're managing that supply network, eventually making sure that everything got shipped to you, right? It'll come as package 1 of 3, package 2 of 3, package 3 of 3. Supply network collaboration, right? Collaborating with your supply network, right? That means if when we were doing some work at Sony Electronics, we were putting applications together that if you actually walked into a Best Buy and you actually didn't find the product on the shelf, Sony was trying to track that demand. Not even saying that, we should know what the demand is. They're saying our retailers should tell us directly, using collaboration, what their demand is, what are they seeing, right? Because time to market is very critical, right? How much planning does it go, to make sure that you are ready with your products for the Christmas season? Significant planning, right? Because the window is so small. You cannot say, oh, we are out of this product, now ship again. You don't have time to do it, right? TPVS, which is Transportation Planning and Vehicle Scheduling, which is also part of SCM. So this is the supply chain part of your business. Then you've got CRM, managing your customer, the relationship with the customer, right? How many times, you call a credit card company, right? And people notice this, right? A lot of times they'll say, okay, give us this is information, we'll route you correctly. And they do route you correctly, but the person who then picks up the phone asks you the same information all over again, right? So customer relationship management, that means their systems are not integrated. They collected all of that information from you only to route you, yet the person they routed to is asking you the same questions all over again. Not all companies do it this way, right? There's a difference if you see an Amex CRM system, American Express versus any other credit card company, you will immediately see massive differences in the way these companies behave and treat their customers, right? So customer relationship management and how you deal with your customer and how you use information is very, very important for you to grow your business, right? Benioff is the CEO of Salesforce. If you look at some of his videos, you will appreciate, right? He's an ex-Oracle guy. SRM, supplier relationship management, working with your vendors, right? Making sure that, you have the right relationships there, you can track the raw material, you can pay your vendors on time. And then PLM is the life cycle of the product through your SAP system. Life cycle of a product does not mean from raw material to finished goods. That's supply chain. Life cycle means that, you've got Toyota Camry 2010 till Toyota Camry 2015. And maybe in 18 or 19, Toyota might decide that we want to retire the Camry brand name, or we want to totally overhaul it. Those kind of activities are product lifecycle management, right? It's not the act of building a Toyota Camry. It's the act of managing the models, the years, and fundamental chassis change, or retiring the whole brand, right? Or recasting the brand. In addition to those 5 Business Suite products, there are a number of other SAP Netweaver applications out there, and they have got more 3-letter acronyms, like WAS for Web Application Server. You will see and hear about this. BI for Business Intelligence, or BW for Business Warehouse. XI, which used to be the old name, called Exchange Infrastructure. PI, which is the new name, which is Process Integration. This is the tool which lets you integrate different SAP and non-SAP systems together to exchange information. EP, which is Enterprise Portal. MDM, which is Master Data Management, which helps you syndicate data, right? Maintain the same master data. It looks very trivial, and I never appreciated why is this so critical for a big company to manage master data. Master data means data about your customer. So big companies, the same customer will reside in 40 or 50 different systems, maybe with slight variations. You might find AT&T in one system. You might find ATT in another system. You might find it stated as American Telephone and Telegraph in a third system, Bell Labs in a 4th system. In fact, they're all the same companies with the same address, but you have different customer numbers set up for them. You're not using syndicated system, and hence you cannot give them the right pricing. You cannot deal with them as a consolidated entity. I used to always feel that how come they get out of sync, but even running a small business now, I feel that it's so easy. When you've got multiple people working on multiple things, to manage data effectively is not trivial.
Is that done because of different people entering that customer in as different names, or what kind of situation leads to having?
Well, it is. It's not because of different people entering different names, even though it could be for that. It just so happens that they got different systems. So when somebody from a sales called and they entered a customer in the sales system, they used AT&T. Right? And then finally the product didn't get delivered to them, and they called the shipping department. And they gave some other detail to the shipping department. They could not find AT&T, so they said, okay, let me create another record for you. They said ATT, right?
Yeah.
So the sales system and the shipping system were not talking to each other. Now you've got 2 customers, right? Even though they are the same customer.
Shouldn't certain people have access to create those customers, so things like that?
Yeah, and so that's why. So first and foremost is probably that was the case, that the people with the right security were creating it. But typically when you have this dichotomy is that the master data, that means the customer record from the sales system didn't get populated in the shipping system. Or they were not the same system to begin with, right? If it's an ERP system, sales and distribution happens from the same module, the SD module in ECC, so you got only one record to begin with. MDM says master data management, that I'm only going to maintain my customers centrally. All systems are going to come and tie into it, right? So that if I make a change one place, it percolates everywhere, right? How many times you have called in, you have a ticket booked with United, you change the address there, but in your frequent flyer mileage account, it doesn't get changed. You say, okay, now I have to call them. They're not using those kind of systems. But now the world is slowly, people are realizing this. CRM, right? Only one face to the customer. Even Hybris, when you read about Hybris, which is omni-channel commerce, which the company SAP bought, now people say that, when I go to homedepot.com versus a brick and mortar Home Depot, versus I use their mobile app, versus I use a tablet, versus a full-fledged website, I should see my information the exact same way. I should see the pricing the exact same way. I should see the same products. The look and feel should be same. The branding should be the same. The word which the industry has invented for all of this is called omni-channel commerce. That means your commerce should be conducted the same way. Even if you call 1-800 Home Depot, same pricing, same details, right? So the reason they were all different was because you had different systems, right? You had the ANI ARU system for 1-800 Home Depot created first. The POS systems being used at the retail outlet are different, right? HomeDepot.com is using something else. The mobile app is using something else. But with Hybris, it's saying that no matter what user experience you have, whether it is, cell phone, tablet, browser, a phone, or walking into a retail outlet, the end result should be the same, omni-channel commerce, right? Big ticket item nowadays in the market space. These are the fundamental changes which are happening. MII, which is Manufacturing Integration and Intelligence, this is managing the shop floor, right? Working at the shop floor with SAP. Now the other product, Solman, is the name used for Solution Manager, which is SAP's product to manage other SAP products, right? To have a good oversight on top of it. BPC for Business Planning and Consolidation. This is where you do what-if scenarios. You plan how you're going to run your business, what products you're going to have, what sales you're going to have for each product, how are you going to discount them, what kind of coupons are you going to issue, advertisement, what's that going to do to the sales, what-if analysis, right? And the consolidation piece of it is your financial reporting to the SEC. BO or Bob J, this is Business Objects. This is SAP's front end for data warehousing, right? This is an OLAP tool. GRC, Governance, Risk and Compliance. It's a security product implemented by SAP for governance, risk and compliance in the security space. SOA, which a lot of you might have heard of, it's not an SAP specific acronym, it's for Services Oriented Architecture. This is what has made the cloud what it is today. All the web services call use the Services Oriented Architecture, where a SOAP XML is sent over an HTTP as a payload as a web service call. RESTful APIs they're called, which makes this concept of even apps, all the apps, apps are not running in a browser, right? What's making an app connect? It's still making an HTTP call, but they're using web services. It's a services-oriented architecture which are enabling your web apps, right? Because there's no browser there. Introduction to HANA. Raj, I will let you, introduce the team to HANA, please. We are on the HANA slide. Do you want to take it from here?
Yes, thank you. So let's talk about HANA, right? Probably, most of you already might have heard about this term, right? SAP HANA, right? Right now, it's one of the buzzwords, right? So SAP is currently, it's one of the their product that's marketing, very well currently. So what HANA is, it's a pretty much, if you want to put it very simply, it's nothing but a database. So it's a database, but only difference is it's created by SAP so that it can handle, large volume of data very fast. How they are doing it is using the memory, having all the tables and data in the memory so that the processing is very fast. So if you look at the, if you look at this graph, right, so in the 1990s, so CPU we can see, right, so it's increased, 6,000-fold within the last 2 years. Memory, it's increased by 2,000-fold, and addressable memory by some extent, network speed, everything increased. But always the issue was, whenever the big companies, right, when they have terabytes of data, the issue is the bottleneck. They call it as a bottleneck, right? Technical term is a bottleneck. Where it is the disk. Because, over the period of time, everything else evolved, but still the issue was with the disk technology. So that is why, HANA is introduced by SAP to overcome this bottleneck. So basically, what they did is they took all the data from the disk and put it onto the memory itself, main memory, so that it's accessible very fast, as you know, right? So we always, when you're working with the, just in regular things, there is difference between, when something on the memory versus the disk, right? So basically they used it, they very well planned it, and, they completely rewritten the code so that it can use the memory for all the calculations. So can you move on to the next slide, Ajay?
Yep.
So this is what, if you look at the bottom of the slide, right? So if you look at this, latency, right? Latency, the latency, we use it for the delay, right? So how much delay you are getting, when you make a request, how much delay it's happening. So that's the latency, that's the term. So if you look at it, L1, L2, L3, these are all the cache, it's used in the servers. These are all very, in NS is the nanoseconds. Whereas the main memory, if you look at it, it's 100 to 400 cycles. It takes that one. And solid state, in case, most of you might already have the solid state disks. So one of the options, a lot of companies, they tried is the solid state, which is better than compared to disk, which has, 1 million, right? So 1 million cycles, it reduces to 5,000 cycles. But still, that was not enough. That is why they moved up, which is the main memory. Right now, it's only, 100 to 400 cycles. So which means your access, getting the data is really fast. So they used it. So all this bottleneck, right now, if you look at it, it's happening between the CPU. So we can get the data really quick, but we have to use it so that CPU can process it, quick enough. That is what. That's why SAP comes into the. They say, okay, it's delivers this product so that it's optimized for the CPU, utilization, so that partitioning can happen within the system. Behind the scenes, it's all doing it. It makes use of all the CPU and process all the data in separate chunks. That's why we have the multi-core, right? Multi-core CPUs. It's all will be helpful for us. So just if you want to give a very official description of the HANA, it enables the real-time OLAP analysis. OLAP is the online processing, right? So this one analysis and then the transaction processing. So transaction processing is what Ajay talked about, ECC, CRM, all these products. So you gather all the transactions from these systems, right? ECC, especially ECC, CRM or SCM, those OLTP. And then OLAP products, some of the OLAP products SAP uses, like a BW, right? BW is one of the very famous OLAP product used by the SAP. So in fact, BW is the system that is being used by CEO of the companies. When CEO wants a report, how much sales we did this year, over the period of 3 years. So they have to go through the historic data, which means, millions of records, right, and multiple data sources. So that is why, it's very important, because you have to have a very quick report when you're presenting it to a CEO, because they have to make decisions based on that, how to forecast their model, those kind of things. So there was, complaints, right, because, especially like Home Depot. Home Depot is one of the biggest BW customers. They have, terabytes and terabytes of data which they want to analyze, but the problem is their systems cannot handle it. So, and always there was complaints, BW is slow. So they introduced the product called BW Appliance. So in that, it's a modified version. What they did is they made some indexes and then, they put it on the appliance. They call it as appliance. Similar concept to HANA. But still it was not enough. So, there was complaints. So that's why, SAP HANA came into the picture. Right now, it's really picking up in the market. Right now, a lot of implementations going on as we speak. So that is why, you are in a good spot right now. Learning HANA at this time will be really helpful, because more and more companies will be either they are installing new with HANA or they are migrating into HANA. Like I mentioned, right, the one company we are working on, they are migrating their current BW into the HANA space. So there are more and more projects. Next 5 years, this is going to be the major selling point for the HANA, right? And you are in a good spot right now. You're learning in the right time.
Right.
So
thanks, Raj.
Can you move on to? Yeah. So they call it as a row store and column store. You know what, Ajay, I will, do that later on the slide. We'll talk about this a little bit later,
All right.
when I get through.
Okay. So, I will give you a brief introduction to the Coach SAP landscape. So, what you see in this picture is what we have built specifically on AWS for the purposes of this course, right? So, we have introduced, number one, AWS. So all of our systems run on Amazon Web Services, right? So they can be accessed from there. So that, makes it cloud resident. We can access it, we can work on it remotely, you can access it, you can work on it remotely, right? That's why this cloud is in the middle, right? Internet, right? So this would be you guys. SAP connects to it the same way. You come in through an internet gateway, and this blue area is like a virtual private cloud for Coach, right? Even though we have a little server room here, we used to train, all of our systems used to be there, but we have moved it from there. So you will all come and you will connect to our SAP systems using a product called SAP Router, which we are running in our public subnet. So that means this is the only subnet which we have exposed to you, right? This is a security concept. That means, only certain traffic can go in from here, and only a certain traffic can come in from here, right? So this is called like the internal firewall. This is called the external firewall, right? And between these two firewalls, a military term is used called DMZ, demilitarized zone, right? So that means people from country A are only on this side. People from country B are only on this side. And the area between both of these two sides is really owned by both the countries. Demilitarized zone, that means you should not be putting up troops in here, right? Other term which they use for this is called the line of control, LOC. Right? That this is your line of control for country B, this is your line of control for country A, right? And everything in the middle is what's shared by both the countries or, provisioned by one country. Same concept in IT. So that makes sure that you can secure your relative land, right? Or your relative countries, your relative IT disciplines. So it's the same concept being used here. We have business objects installed and operational. We have got an ECC system. IDES stands for International Demo and Education System. We have a Solution Manager system available, and then we have got SAP BW running on HANA, right? So this is HANA. SPS 9 means a specific version of HANA, which is the latest support pack stack. SPS stands for support pack stack of HANA being used, right? So this is what is available in our Amazon Web Services. Give me a second here. I would like to show something else to you as well. I'd like to kind of give you a sneak preview into Amazon Web Services. So this is Amazon Web Services. It has a cloud called EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic means it can scale, right? Its cloud means it's not on your premise, right? So, so it gives us a management console through which I can connect. Right, so now I've connected as Ajay Dhingra to a North Virginia data center, right? It's not my own data center, it's on the cloud, but if I was doing business in Ireland, I would connect to this data center. If I was doing business in Tokyo, I would connect to this data center. Or even if I'm doing business in US, but I want to maintain geographical diversity so that if there's a blackout in North Virginia, my whole business does not shut down. I can have my primary data center here and my secondary data center in Northern California at two coasts, right? Hopefully, you know, both are not going to be impacted at the same time, right? A lot of people make that mistake, you know, where they would have two data centers, but they are only 100 kilometers or 100 miles apart. So that's not good, right? If you have that, you could have a single disaster which could take both of them out. Like when we had the grid outage, you know, I think 12, 13 years ago now, right, in Northeast where the electric grid went off, right? If you had two data centers, they were both, you know, let's say there was in Chicago and New York, you'd be impacted the same way, right? Both data centers would be down. So you need to at least have coast-to-coast diversity. So this is our EC2. Here we can see all of our systems running. So everything is virtual, right? I don't have a physical key to this data center, right? But I can see what is operational in that data center for me. So I've got 8 running instances. I can look at all of them. Right, so this is my HANA instances. What is running, what is stopped, what kind of capacity is there, is all available to me relatively easily, right? And on any machine, if I need to take an action, you know, whether I want to connect to it, launch more like them, right? Stop it, reboot it, terminate it, all at a click of a button, right? Through this interface, through cloud, right? In fact, if somebody says, oh, I need a new server, right? Which kind do you need? Do you need Red Hat? Do you need SUSE Linux? Do you need Ubuntu, Windows? You tell me, right? So let's say they say that, yeah, I need a, let's say which one we pick up. Let's say Red Hat, that I need Red Hat, okay. So I can select it. Which size do you need? Micro, small, medium, large? So let's say we say small, okay. Configure instance details, okay. How many do you need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Let's say we need 1. Which subnet do you want to put it in? Where do you want to plug it in, right? You need an IP address, right? What kind of shutdown behavior do you need, right? Do you need to add storage? Okay. Add storage. 10 gig, 100 gig. How much do you need? You need another volume. That means another disk drive, another 100 gig, right? If I hit on this right now, review and launch, it's going to let me review that this is what you asked for, Ajay. Right? You asked for a small instance. You asked for these 2 disk drives. Launch. The meter is going to be down. I'm going to start. My credit card is with them. They're going to start billing. But within seconds, I have an instance created. I don't have to go and order something. It will come in 2 weeks, and then I have to install Red Hat on it. Oh, I forgot a disk drive. Where do I plug it? Is my server room heated? Is it cooled? Nothing. Cloud. Yes.
So an instance is just a transaction?
No, instance is a server. It's a server. It's server in the cloud.
It will only active when you pay money.
Yeah. Nothing happens without money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it's going to charge me on an hourly basis. For the CPU, hourly basis for the disk, and on the amount of disk. And down to the T, I can look at my billing costs, right? Down to every single IP address, every single disk I/O. Right? So down to that level of detail. So my current bill for this month is this much, right? And I can look at down to the T that how much of it is coming from EC2, how much of it is coming from S3 buckets. Bill details. And this billing is important because this is how they have taken big capacity which they bought, and they are basically creating a virtualized mechanism of selling you slices of it. Right? So that means somebody is out there which is making the pizza pie and has came up with the concept that you can get a slice of it which you can afford. And I'm not going to make the whole pie. When you walk into the store, it's already there. You tell me which slice do you want. Right? I don't know why it's taking this long to show me the bill, the details of the bill. But let this run in the background. I wanted to kind of show that to you because it's important to know what's happening in the background, right? And nobody is going to teach it to you like that, right? Because this you're seeing in reality what happens. At one of the companies, where we recently moved all of their systems from being on-premise meaning in your own data center, to cloud. All the money they spent with us, with Cogent consulting services in a single year, right? So in a single year of the savings they got from moving to cloud, in a single year and year after year, they are recovering all of the money they spent with us since the beginning of time, right? So that means, let's say if in the beginning of time till now they spent $5 million with us, right? Their savings on a repetitive basis year after year in us doing their cloud project is giving them the same savings. Huge, huge benefit, right? By moving to that. I think this bill detail is not working that fast as I expected it to. All right, moving on. Here is the course content. The course content is going to be built around 7 PDF files. 5 of these PDF files are SAP related, SAP Netweaver related. These two, they're called TADM, the administration guides 10_1 and 10_2. And then there are the advanced versions of those, 12_1 and 12_2. And then there is the Oracle Database Administration Guide. So these make up the core Netweaver component of the course. And then in addition, what is new in this course is HANA 100 and HANA 200, HA 100, HA 200, which are going to be added to it. These are SAP PDF files which will make the content of the course. This is what you'll get in your DVDs. Okay. Training material, we provide everything to you in a training DVD. And you guys, some of you have already registered, so you guys might have received it already. Others who have not registered, will get it once you complete your registration process. The DVD looks like this, and I will just briefly walk through it. Right, this is how it will look like. It has got a knowledge base section where any questions anyone has asked me over the years, I've delivered the content to them in some sort of a document. Then I put those documents here, right, in this knowledge base folder. It could have something as trivial as, Ajay, when you took the SAP certification, how did you prepare? Give us all of that material, right? So something as simple as that. Or could be something more complex. How do we do SAP upgrades? What kind of material is available for that? Or could be something very, very specific. Give us an example of a homogeneous system copy using an offline backup. What kind of customized procedures are out there, give us a sense of that. Right? So we have accumulated all of those, right, and provided to you in the knowledge base folder. We have given some books as well, some electronic books. Right? These books itself are probably $300 to $400, right? These have been provided to you as well, and these, this one specifically, R3 handbook. This is a Bible for SAP Basis Administration, right? This is by an author called Jose Hernandez. This is what I read to learn SAP Basis. Some of these books are dated, some of them they have not come up with newer editions, newer revisions, but it's out there, right? Some material, some SAP GUI software material on R3, BW, APO, Portal, SCM. However, we are going to focus on SAP new material, right? These are the 5 PDF files which we'll be using, right, for the purposes of this course, right? And not here, but you will have in your DVDs is the SAP HANA PDF files as well. You will be going through an installation, so SAP installation related material is there. Also prerequisites for the installation, the Linux books, the RHEL books, SAP notes, etc. And some of the prerequisite install related preparatory work we have done. All of that is documented as well. Live meeting recordings, right? Previous trainings, right? And specifically important are BW and Solution Manager trainings. We have given you material for those previous BW trainings and Solution Manager recording as well, so that you can benefit from it, right? There's a question. Yep. You can be provided that, you know, if you feel that it is not the latest, you know, just send a note to Amol. He will provide you with the details. This section here, this is the of those 5 PDFs. This is the latest version of those 5 PDFs from 2014. Right, which we talked about, the TADM 10_1, 10_2, etc. Frequently asked questions, live meeting, how to look at the recordings, right, everything which we are recording, installation instructions, the orientation material itself, the syllabus, right, all of it is provided to you so that, you know, you have a structured way to learn, right, and we pride ourselves in it, even down to the extent that even down to the extent that exercises, every day, what exercise you're going to do, right? So if I pick up one exercise, even those exercises are what step you need to do, the screenshot of that step, how you should do it, what you should click on, right? Very methodically built, right? Because we believe that the reason you are here is because you need that extra little bit, right? A lot of times, some people learn by reading, others learn by seeing, third set of people learn by doing, right? So we want to do all 3 of them, right? Because no matter which area or bucket you fall in, you should be able to pick up, right? If you are reading and listening kind of a person, that's going to happen. If you like screenshots, that's there. If you like to actually do it, these are the exercises you will do it, right? And if there's a 4th kind, which don't do anything till you ask them that there is a test, then we have those tests as well, right? So that you study for them. In fact, we have a whole certification quiz itself, which we'll talk through momentarily. Okay. So training DVD, which I kind of gave you a good sense of how it is structured. Right, so this we covered. Yahoo group, everything which we work on, right, so that the group benefits from each other. Every announcement, homeworks, questions will all be published on this Yahoo group, and you will all have to subscribe to it. Hands-on exercises, I showed you these, right? All the exercises, and I'll give you some more details because we have added to those exercises for HANA. There's a custom install guide, right? The installation which we do, there's a custom installation guide for that, which I'll show you momentarily, which talks about how we go through the installation process. So you'll do your whole installation for an SAP system yourself on your own machine. And how can I make it easy? I'm not going to buy a machine for you. How will I make it easy so that you can install on your own machine? I'm going to give you a cloud instance, right? I'm going to give it to you for 3 days. You can do your whole installation. After that, you'll say, Ajay, I'm done. We'll crash the machine because I'm only paying by the hour, right? Then, and I can, whether I've got 18 students in the class, 18 plus 3, 21, or whether I've got 50 students in the class, I can dynamically grow, right? For that exercise, right, which is the installation exercise. Preparation for certification exams. So we feel that there are 3 certification exams which we are preparing you for, right? 2 of them in the Netweaver space, which is pure basis administration. 1 of them with an Oracle DBA skill set. And then there are 2 for HANA, right? One is a HANA Technology Associate, the other is for HANA Installation. So we are preparing you for 3 certifications. These are SAP certifications, right? So we are not giving you these certifications. We will give you a certificate as well, but I can tell you this, our certificate does not have the same value as SAP certificate has, right? And training certificates don't have value. Certification certificates have value, right? So these are certification certificates, right? Certified, right? You can take these exams here, right? We are a Pearson VUE certified center, so you can come, you can just sit here and take the exam. Hands-on exercises, right? We will have the following: SAP HANA installation, HANA upgrade, SAP BW installation, ABAP stack and a Java stack, upgrading those stacks, doing a system refresh, client creation, copy, deletion, transports of objects, user role creation, etc., backup recovery, right? So a lot of these exercises existed previously as well. We have morphed them into more HANA specific, right, where relevant. How are we going to teach, and in what kind of an environment are we going to teach you? Training is going to be conducted on a HANA server, right? So it will be done on a HANA server. Very important. With both the ABAP stack and a Java stack. SAP has got split personality. It's got 2 stacks. We'll teach on both. Systems will be available 7/24, right? Because you must have already guessed that a lot of these people are, some are from US, some are from India, some are from Middle East, right? So global, right? So, and it's omnicast. That means you can attend the training in our office in India as well. And additionally, systems are available so that you can practice anytime. Amazon Web Services. We are introducing SLT, business objects. SLT is System Landscape Translation, which is a product used in HANA implementations. Exposure and opportunity to work on multiple database platforms. You're going to see systems which are HANA systems. You're going to see systems which have got an Oracle database, right? So you'll see HANA databases, you're going to see Oracle databases, you're going to see SQL Server databases, right? So you have an opportunity to see a whole wide variety of systems out there. Unique training methodology. We pride ourselves in the instructors, right? So these are not instructors who just learned themselves in the previous batch or 2 batches ago, right? Instruction material, we have spent a lot of time putting not only the theoretical material, the exercises, but more importantly, the infrastructure on which we are going to learn, right? And we have made sure that it's cutting edge, and we spend a lot of money on it. Individual installation on your own system, right? So we talked about this, right? Is you will be able to do your own installation. People always want to do this, right? Give me my own machine, I'll learn better, right? So each student will be using their own machine to do a BW installation, ABAP stack, Java stack, their own HANA database, right? You will also have access to the server for 3 months after the training has been completed, right? Not the server you did the installation, but the server you do the rest of the training on. Installation, we cannot give everyone a machine for 3 months, right? We're only going to give it to you for 3 days when you're doing your installation. Training DVD with all the training material is going to be provided to you. This training DVD has got a large set of material, right? We said it goes much beyond the 64 hours of training, right? You've seen all the material which was in there. 24/7 global access, it's on the cloud, you can access from anywhere in the world. Session recordings, every session is recorded, right? So even what we did today, if you have missed portions of it, right? 1 hour, 25 minutes of stuff is recorded, right? Which you can go back and listen to. A lot of you are here not just to learn, but to be able to practice in that area, right? To have a placement or a job in that space. We have a separate service offering called Coach Placement Service Offering, where we ensure that we can help you with your resume, with mock interviews, with client interviews, and marketing you and your skill set, right? So that you can break into the marketplace, right? It's called KPSO. You will see that we have a very school-based approach. Weekly homeworks, weekly in-class quizzes. Expectation is that you'll spend 20 hours on a weekly basis outside of this class to keep up to speed with the homework and the classwork, right? And only that's where the learning originates from and comes from. The actual certification exam for Netweaver, which we talked about, we have a mock exam available for that, which you will actually take it on the computer, multiple choice, very similar to the real test, and you can see your scores on how well you do. It has total 80 questions, 3 hours, 180 minutes, the actual certification exam. It's conducted by Pearson VUE, and we are a Pearson VUE authorized testing center, right? This is the mock exam, right? So you see it's got 80 questions, SAP Certified Technology Associate exam, right? It has a duration. This is how we see, what people have scored, right? Not good, right? I want the graph to flip over, right? How many students have got 100%? I want that number to be high, right? This tells, if it is like this, it tells students in this batch 46, this is from batch 46, didn't do that well. But I put this graph together so that I could motivate them.
Yeah, quick question. To get certified, what is passing grade?
They don't tell you, and what it is. Very well. But what they do tell you sometimes on the websites, and you will see it, is for HANA certification that at that point in time when you went to the website, what they were seeing, right? So if you look at, I think. Maybe we took out that slide. Yeah, I think we took out that slide. But on their website, if you go on SAP's website, you will see it. it ranges anywhere from 60 to 70%. Here is example of some of the questions. We have erased the questions on purpose, but you know, SAP, the big thing is that even though it's multiple choice, more than one can be right. You need to get all of them right to get the credit for that question, right? So, you know, you cannot just simply, basically your odds of getting something wrong increases, right? Because there's more than one which can be correct. Why SAP Basis? Systems administration in SAP is called Basis Administration. And the Netweaver technology is the foundation for all SAP products, right? That's why it's important to get certified and to learn Basis, because it's the foundation for all SAP products. So it's not like we are teaching you only BW or teaching you only ECC or only SRM. This technology is the foundation for all SAP products. The definition of Netweaver, we'll look at the definition of Netweaver. It is in this SAP Tech Unit 1, page 16. So this is one of the PDFs in your DVD, and it talks through what Netweaver is, and it introduces what's called a refrigerator diagram, and we'll just quickly go through that. SAP Technical Fundamentals, Unit 1, page 16. Okay, so this is the Netweaver technology. It's called a refrigerator diagram because it looks like a refrigerator, right? So all SAP Netweaver products, right? This is independent of HANA, because HANA is playing in this space, right? In the database space, right? But all of these SAP products which are built on Netweaver, they have a DB and OS abstraction. That means they can run on any database, any operating system, or rather multiple databases, multiple operating systems, which SAP supports, right? So it makes it database agnostic, operating system agnostic. And it has got two flavors, right? It's got the ABAP stack and the Java stack, the two types of web servers in it. That makes up the application platform. On top of it, you've got process integration, which lets two SAP and non-SAP systems talk to each other. It has got master data management built in, MDM. It's got BW technology built in. And it's got portal technology built in. And it's got user experience, multi-channel access built in. Together, this makes up your Netweaver platform. That means, in another analogy, they made the platform so complex that you can build any kind of application on top of it, whether it is ERP, CRM, SRM, SCM, PLM, or any other apps. They all run on the Netweaver platform. And also now they all run on the HANA database. So this is very similar to how General Motor works, right? When they come up, when General Motor kind of comes up with a chassis or a platform, multiple cars are built on that platform, right? In fact, multiple brands are built on that platform, right? And a lot of times between GM and GMC, they share the platforms, right? Why? Because they believe that that platform is versatile, right? Multiple different car brands, multiple different engine types can be built on that chassis, right? Similarly, on the Netweaver. That's why if you learn this, you're a mechanic for more than one car, right? And that's what's important, is because your ability to utilize your skill set across a broader domain significantly increases than to be very specialized. So I just wanted to focus on that page to kind of give you the definition of Netweaver. Okay. So now what we are going to do is we are going to introduce you to a HANA system, and in fact, let me try to see if I can connect from here. If not, then I'll have I will have Raj demonstrate this to you. So this is SAP GUI, right? We can connect to a lot of new systems, or a lot of our systems on the cloud from here. And the instructions have been provided to us here, right? For those of you who have got SAP GUI downloaded at home, you can already try to do this. I'll give you some of the details on how to connect to it. First, I'll connect myself. Put it here so that I can cut and paste or look at the content. So this is a HANA-based SAP BW system. This is an application server IP address. This application server is on the cloud. It is one of these, right, on EC2. Yep.
Everything that we're going to be doing, it's going to be on GUI?
No.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to be GUI, it's going to be command line, all kinds of things. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. So, so if we look at this guy, this has the IP address, right? This is the HANA TV1 system 10.0.1.46, right? So it's a virtual IP which has been given to it, right? That's what I'm connecting to. It has a system number of 00, right? It's all here, and it has a system ID of TB1. And then to secure it, remember we said that it has to connect through a SAP router. So it's going to connect through a SAP router. The details of the SAP router are here. That means we first need to go to a host called 52.20.244.204, and then talk to that host on a specific port called 3299, and from there jump to another host, which is this one. That means my way to this is only through the SAP router. That means I can control everyone coming in. Okay. Finish. And I'm not connected from this machine before, so let's see how it goes. Yes, you can use this version, the latest version. I'm using a slightly dated version, which is 7.10. So I can connect to this machine. I see, I think I got this account recently created.
I think you can use batch 48. Is it ready?
Yeah. Give me, oh, it's welcome 1, right? Welcome 1.
Yes. Did you use capital, right? Capital W. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is an SAP system. Okay. And this is running on HANA, on the cloud. Right? So it's Coach HANA Training BW System 1. It is, I'm logged in here. And so this is just to kind of give you a perspective of, you know, where it is running. Very important is, you know, if we go to system status, again, you'll be seeing some of these things, but I just wanted to introduce briefly. If we go to system status, this is a SAP Netweaver 7.4 latest version of a BW system, right? Based upon SAP Netweaver. SAP Netweaver version 7.4, which is the latest version, and it's a BW system, SAP BW. Support pack stack 8. And it is running on a HANA DB. Database is HDB, and it is running on the cloud. So right now what you're seeing is you are connecting and you're going to learn on latest version of Netweaver with HANA latest version and running on the cloud, and from instructors who between them have got 30 years of combined experience and more in SAP itself. Can't beat that, right? So from, you know, but that doesn't mean that you can learn it all, right? Because a lot of it needs to come from you, right? Class, quizzes, 20 hours per week, which you have to do, exercises which you have to do. Only thing I can do is I can whip you around, right? Every week when you come, ask you the same questions, make sure that you're embarrassed, right? And that you actually do the work. Okay. So, also, we can look at HANA DB. Little bit more, and then you know, we're going to have Raj spend some more time with you, specifically on the HANA database using HANA Studio. But just to get a brief overview, of the fact that this is running on HANA, right? Obviously it stated HANA DB earlier when we looked at it, right? In the system status field, right? Even here when we look at specific concepts like name server, this is not an Oracle concept, right? This is a concept for a HANA database, right? So that's what has been introduced here. Also, it's HANA database 1, support pack stack 9, and patch level 7, right? So it's called 97, right? That's what's been introduced here. HANA has another way to access it, you know, and that's where a lot of system administration happens through. It's called HANA Studio, and you know, I will have Raj start his presentation server, his presentation live meeting, right? So from where, we can look at portions of it as well. In addition, just so that you guys are aware of it, so this is the screen I was waiting for to come up, right? For the HANA database, right? So you can see the basic overview screen. We will talk through more of these as time progresses. But one thing which I wanted to share with all of you is the following. That we have an ID called batch 48. This is for you guys, with password welcome uppercase W, which you can use to connect yourself. So which would mean that in this presentation we have a slight typo. This ID is batch 48 and the password is uppercase W, welcome. Right?
Welcome one?
No, that was for my ID.
Oh, okay.
For this one, it's just welcome. So people who are remote, right, can use this to connect, right, from anywhere. You don't need to do it, but as a homework, you will have to do it eventually, right? So this is where I'm going to hand it over to Raj now. Raj, you can start the screen sharing and walk the class through this part of the orientation.
Sure, Ajay.
Are you logged in as instructor, Raj?
Yes, Ajay. I just made a request to control. Did you? I think you are getting feedback.
No. I don't think you need to request control. You just start sharing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Since you're instructor, you just go to content and put your desktop.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. So what we have is, I will open up this. This is another Amazon Web Services box, virtual server, which we are using it as like a utility box where we install the HANA Studio, and I will open up from the beginning. So we have this, to have, demonstrate all the, HANA Studio, especially, right now, HANA Studio doesn't allow you to connect through the router, like Ajay showed you how to connect the SAP GUI, but that one doesn't have the, currently it's, SAP doesn't have the capability where you can jump from one system to other. So we are working on that. Meanwhile, we will, log into this remote server where you can, will have access to log into the server. So I have this shortcut. I'm going to open it. Says this is the HANA Studio. This is similar to the SAP GUI. So, or if you have used Microsoft SQL Server, you might have heard of the Microsoft SQL console, right? So, similar one. This is the HANA Studio where it's used to manage all the database related activities for the SAP HANA. So here we have multiple systems currently already configured. You can see this is the systems, right? So if you look at specifically this system, let's look at this. So this is the HANA TH1, that's the system. This is the host, it's host connecting, and then the port number. So it's connecting to this port. There are multiple ports. We will talk about this as we progress into the course. But at least this is the connection string, we are using. So, it's right now it's connected. I already, connected to this one. So if you look at it, there are two ways to connect it. One is, you can connect to the system DB. So this is also similar to the Microsoft. If you worked on SQL Server or other Oracle databases, so you might have heard of system database, right? It's similar to that system database, and then you have the user databases. In this case, our user database is called TH1. So I'm just now connecting to the system database. So right now it's connected. So if I double click on it, they call it as a console, right? So this is the console of the for the system database, and it's opening it up. So it has multiple, tabs, overview, landscape. This is the one of the main tab for this, managing the whole database, right? So we will talk about this in each of these, what it's used for, all those. Some of them are easier, some of them you need to have some understanding of how things work in the back end, right? So we'll talk about those as we progress into the course. So let's open the TH1 also. It's taking time, right? So this is, okay. So here there are catalog. So this is the catalog of the objects. So I think it's got loose, but disconnect. Let me reconnect that. It's having some issues, so we will look into that. So meanwhile, I want to show you something on the this. I want to just talk about this topic itself. So why, again, this is why, why we are adapting HANA, right? So this is like 3,000-fold, increase of the reporting speed, and it can process, 460 billion, records. All this, it's as an increase. So that's why, SAP is able to sell this very fast because it's able to market this. And other architecture diagram I want to show you is this one, right? So this is the architecture similar to what they talked about. We have the, they call it as an index server, right? So index server, that's main calculation. That's where all the calculation is being done for the SAP HANA. So that is done in the calculation, and they talk about the row and column store memory. So again, we talked about, right? So everything sits in the memory. So in order to utilize it properly, so SAP came up with this idea, row store and column store. So what is a row store? Row store is something like, for instance, we always know in traditional database, it's a two-dimensional, right? Row, columns. So all this, for instance, this is the first row having a value A, 10, and the euro size, right? If you're organizing by row, so you take the first row, put it, and and take the second row, put it. So we are making it as a linear fashion. Why we are doing this? It's because that's how memory uses it. Memory, CPU reads from the memory. It's all in the linear fashion. That's why they make it as. And the column store, you take the first column, you put A, B, C, D, E, and then on the next column, and then the third column, right? So if you look at this, euro signs, right? There are two euros. So here, this is just an example, right? So if you have, millions of columns or, rows, so where there is a good opportunity to compress it, instead of storing, multiple times, you just have to store one time. So that's another benefit. So basically the data is compressed when it's brought into the memory because it's stored linearly, right? So it's stored sequentially. So, and CPU can access it very fast because it's in the memory. So those are the things I wanted to show you. Let me go back here. This is how you can see it in the system itself. Okay, just maybe. All right. Let's talk about this system, right? So these are all the tables. How do you know whether a table is in a row store or a column store? You want to check it, or you can change between a row store and a column store. And some of the cases you might want to do it in a row store, and some cases it's in a column store. Pretty much majority of the SAP tables are stored in the column store because that's where you get the value. Because it can compress well. And also, pretty much all the data can be read and written faster with the column store. Let's take, for example, right? Let's take this one. Let me open up the definition of this table. This is one of the system tables itself. Obviously, you can see this if you go to runtime, or if you look at the type, right? It's already shows you, it's a row store. So that's how you can say it. It's a row store. And if you want, for some reason, you want to store it as a column store, you can always do it. But normally we don't do it for the system tables or anything like that. But there may be cases you might be doing it for your own systems. Just coming back now, let me open this one. So these are all the multiple, schemas. They call it as schemas in the HANA database. So SAP TB1, SAP and then the SIT, SAP SIT, they call it as SAP SCIT. That's a standard way for SAP to create a schema. So this SAP TB1, if you look at it, there will be, thousands of tables. If you look at, that's one of the things, right? With SAP, there are thousands and thousands of tables, so you have to know some of the very critical tables, but we'll just pick up, random table. Let's look at the definition of this one. So as you can see, like I mentioned, this is stored as a column store. If you can see it, this is a column store. You can even see better data here. But as you see that this is a column store table, and it's another thing is, with the HANA, you don't need a lot of indexes. In traditional Oracle or SQL Server, you need to, create more and more indexes. You call it as a clustered or non-clustered indexes to speed up the read process. Because there is no latency here, or, there is no need for the database system to find the data. It can, because it's readily available in the memory. There is no need for many of the indexes. Pretty much, indexes are of the past, right? So it's all directly, you can get from the table. That's other reason, it can save the space, when you are using the HANA as a database. You put everything in the memory itself. So those are some of the things, I quickly want to, give some insight into how this SAP HANA itself works. But there are lots of areas we need to talk about, as we progress into the course, we'll talk about, all the memory, how this is being used, what is the resident memory, and, what is the database memory, OS level memory, and, how it's being allocated, all those, how to analyze if there is issue, all those we'll talk about it as we progress into the course.
All right. Raj, why don't you take the two questions which you see in the Q&A tab, if they're related to HANA. In the live meeting Q&A tab.
Oh, okay.
Manage, yeah. Go to manage.
Is recording?
Yes, it is on.
It is on. I think, irrespective of who's presenting, I believe it is on. Thanks, Lucas, asking for that. Other one is for HANA-DB are using SAP CAL. This one, I think, you might be knowing, right, how this licensing with this?
Yes. So the question, so the CAL stands for Client Access Licensing. right? So yes, for this HANA DB, it is licensed from SAP for the purposes of using it with an SAP product. That means it's not licensed to use, even though HANA DB can be used for non-SAP purposes, right? So if you go and look at some of the HANA presentations on opensap.org, you will see that people are using it to map the trajectories of an asteroid, right? That what is the probability of an asteroid A, depending upon how it moves through space to hit Earth, right? So scientific calculation, very difficult to do it. You can have a database like HANA do it relatively easily. So we cannot use it for that purposes. We can only use it for the purposes of with an SAP system, right? Okay. So I think the question, I thought it was for the licensing for CALs, but I think the question is for the cloud appliance library, right? So no. So this, what we are using here is what's called the TDI installation, tailored data center integration model, right? So it is inherently using the CAL which are available for SUSE Linux, which is not SUSE Linux, sorry, RHEL Linux, which is the one we are using here. So it is built in, but some of that library components go a step beyond that if you start using it with scale out, right? That means you have a third-party storage area network which you are using, and you want to access that storage area network. You want to do fencing within that storage area network, and there are a lot of appliance libraries to use within the cloud framework for that. Those, even though they're available, they're not being used because we are using normal, what's called block storage made available to RHEL as a subsystem. So very, very good question from a standpoint which we'll learn more about is that initially you could install HANA only on an appliance which was certified, which was certified by SAP for a specific vendor, like whether it's Lenovo, whether it is HP, whether it is Dell, etc. Very recently, in the last year or so, SAP has released what's called TDI, Tailored Data Center Integration, where on commoditized hardware, you can install HANA. And we are using that approach to install it on a commoditized HANA, on a commoditized server, which is on an AMI, Amazon Machine Image, running on Amazon Web Services, and the image is an RHEL image. And we have done certain things to that image. We have watered it down so that we are not running it with excessive amounts of memory. So we did some custom work there, which Gaurav Gupta from our team did it to make that happen. I think the next question is SAP GUI 7.0 different, yeah, you need to use the instructions to download the version which Amol has provided to you. So the one in the DVD is slightly old. Ravi, this is the answer to Ravi Patel. Mohan's question is this a multi-tenant database? So, Raj, I would like you to answer it once you're showing the HANA Studio so that you can explain the tenant database concept and then answer that question.
Sure. So, yes, Morgan, just to answer the question, yes. And, let's go back here to the studio itself. So you can always, already you see the value, right, from this training. So, Morgan, right, so before, in SP8, they called it HANA SP8. they call it as a single database. Everything under one database, all the system tables, all the user tables, everything under one database. So one database, everything inside. But with ST9, SAP felt, what, we need to move all the system-related information into one database, which is typical for any database vendor, right? Like I said, SQL Server, Oracle, they manage it separately. So they came up with this. So system DB, right? So when you create it, so you are connected to it. Let's do this. Let's add this system. Okay, on our TH1, this is the system number. So this is the instance number. So you have multiple options here, right? So you have the single container or a multiple container. Single container, this is for SP8 or previous versions. But with the SP9, which is the latest one, which you will be working on, this is called a multiple database container. Right now, I can say this is connect to TH1. That is the database name. I can have another one, TH2 database, maybe another product. So let's say, this is right now, TH1 is hosting a BW system. It's contain all the data for a BW, but I can have a ECC. Let's call it as a TE1, right? TE1, I can put it and then I can create one. So similarly, you can have multiple database. So, or, I can say, connect to the system database. I can say, just connect to the system database, and it's going to ask you for, user ID password. And, once I give that, I'll be able to log into the system.
Right. Thanks, Raj. One other question. So when can you hear me, Raj?
Yes, good.
All right. So one other question is, since we have a multi-tenant database, but if you go to our system catalog, you will see all the statistics table in both the databases. Why do we have that, sir? You have it in both systemdb as well as in the TH1 database.
So this is kind of independent databases, right? So they want to maintain everything for that specific database and things like that. I don't want to, dive too deep into it because, a lot of people, it's all very new to them. We don't want to overwhelm also, right, with too much information. That is why we try to keep it a little bit, at the very high level. But as we, like I mentioned, as we progress into the course, we'll definitely look into this. Each of the databases, what's significance, and, obviously these kind of questions, definitely, we encourage these kind of questions, to understand more and things like that, definitely we'll talk about it. So for your question, yes, so, for maintaining, individual database, level, right? So we have to maintain, for instance, you can set up some of the memory, how much memory, those kind of things, right? So at that level you can do it, how much it's being used, resources itself. So everything needs to be tracked for the separate databases.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. I'm currently working on a single tenant database, so interested now. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Next question. Are you saying those of us who have installed the GUI should uninstall for 7 days?
No, you don't need to do it. If you are at a higher version than 7.10, you're okay. So Timothy, you can just stay put with where you are. Okay. You don't need to downgrade, right? Just because I was running all right. So I think it's good. Those are the questions we had. Thanks, Raj. I'll take it from here. Okay, so people should start seeing my presentation. So we before we go into the SAP transactions, and we'll go through some of those. Raj, I think this one you already covered, right? Find a table with a row store, with a column store, right? You went through this while you were showing HANA, correct? Or did you want to go through this again?
I think that's enough. I think, we may be running out of time, so let's focus on the other things as well.
All right, good. Very good. Yeah, so we have, what we also wanted to kind of show that, we're not just going to focus on HANA, right? Because it's a separate track, we have a lot of stuff there, but other transactions, right, which happen within the SAP pure basis arena need to be looked at as well. And, we wanted to make sure that, you appreciate some of those. And, we have already logged on, to an SAP system here, right? This is logged on as batch 48 user ID. I'm going to go back and log in as my user ID, I think, which was this screen, right? And we'll talk through some of these transactions which we have listed here. SM04, AL08. So these two transactions, SM04, for people who are connected can actually do this. For people who are not connected can see that, I can look at SM04, I can look at who all is connected to the system right now. So this is me, right? Coach 0 is this instructor machine which I'm sitting to and connecting via, right? Batch 48, and I think this is Mohan, if I'm not mistaken. I think his machine name has his last name in it, right? Mohan, can you confirm? I think that's you.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. And then, we have got, this is Raj Ramakrishnan. I can figure it out. He's using the same batch 48 user ID, but his machine name gives it. And then, we have got, one of our consultants, Ramya Ramachandran. She's doing some work as well. She's connected to the system. So I can look at all the users connected to this one instance. If I had multiple instances of SAP, if I did, I could see them in SM51, but here we've got only one instance called 00, one app server. I can look at who's logged in transaction SM04. I can also look at it in AL08. Right? So very similar look and feel, except that this would show me for all application servers, right? You could have multiple application servers connect. It would show me for all of them. I see in the meantime somebody else got connected as well. One of the other fellow students, he's also doing, or he or she is also doing the SM04 transaction, which is good, right? So the student population is connecting to it, right? In this transaction, we can see some more details, like the memory used by the GUI session, so on and so forth, right? These are all system administration transactions. We looked at SM51 as well. SM37 is background jobs, right? All batch processing in the background which happens in the system. And we look through this. So I can look at all the jobs which ran today on September 19th in the system. And there should be tons of them, right? They're all finished. Right? There could have been some which failed. We'll see if some shows a non-green. Some of them are still active. Right? So some which failed. Right? So this one canceled. But this one canceled after running for 29,000 seconds. Right? So after running for a significant amount of time, it canceled. And one can start looking at as a system admin, you will have to kind of look at this job to see, why it canceled. It canceled because a process terminated, right? So now they're saying that look at the system log to see why the process terminated at 8:12 a.m. So it started at midnight at 8:12 a.m. So that means a little over 8 hours, 12 minutes, which, if I do the math, should map up to this runtime of 29,000 seconds, right? 3,600 seconds an hour, right? So if this one you really wanted to look at, you would have to kind of look at the system log at around 8:12, and we can actually do it because that's another transaction, SM21, which we need to get used to, right? So we can say, okay, show me the system log from, I don't know, I'll say from 8 a.m. onwards, right? 8 till 9, right? So that I can focus what happened at 8:12 and see. I already see an issue that around 8:10 I started having database errors, right? So this is when I pick up the phone and I start calling the HANA DB administrator, right? So that, why are we getting, database connection errors at that time? So this is actually a good exercise for us as well, right? Since this is a relatively new system built on HANA, seeing that, why are we getting database connectivity errors? That's perhaps what resulted in that job failing, right? So this is something, Raj, which you should take up, right, and work with Gaurav to see if we can get resolved as we start, getting these systems in order. Okay. So, and I want to just kind of show this, right, without getting into too much detail, that how you use these system transactions to yourself, start looking at, and it's very possible that this might be totally unrelated, because one of the things which is not jiving in, that this is actually a dialogue work process. What failed for us was a background work process. But nevertheless, once you start seeing a pattern, where there's database errors, you need to first rectify those, right? Because they could have a lot of other impact in the system. We looked at we have not looked at SM50, SM66. These two transactions, SM50 first, tells us all the work processes in the system, right? So we have a system with roughly, how many dialog work processes? DIA stands for dialog. How many dialog work processes are there? Okay, how many dialog work processes are there? No, that's why I asked the question. It's not 9, right? It's 10. It's 0 to 9, right? And I asked that question because that's what one needs to just be aware in IT, right? In general, everything starts with 0, right? So 0 to 9, 10 dialog work processes, 1 update work process, 3 batch, 1 spool. Spool is for printing. UP2 is for secondary updates. We're going to talk more about these work processes later on as well, but just wanted to kind of give you a sense of SM50 transaction, which tells us all the work processes which are making up this instance, right? There was a question. Somebody wanted to know the connect string. So here is the connect string briefly, which you need to use. So I'll just keep this on first so that, people who are remotely wanting to connect can look at this. You guys could connect from these machines as well, or when you go back home, you'll get this presentation, you'll have the recording, you can connect from your home machine. Also, if you do intend to come to the class to attend the remainder of the course, better way is to get your laptop along. This way, you're not doing portional stuff here and then you take some notes here, you have to move it. You can just work from your laptop. If you have one, you can connect to the wireless and just use that consistently. Alright, so I'm going to remove this. That's the SAP router string, the app server, IP address, system number, and the system ID for TB1. So that's the SM50 transaction. SM66 essentially tells us the currently active work processes, right? So I can say, show me only the active ones. Right now it's showing all of them, the ones waiting and running. If I say, show me only active work processes, it's only showing me the running ones, right? So right now there is one running, right? It's been running for so much CPU time, right? And you can have various fields which you can look at, right? This one, right? So now there are two of them, right? So you can kind of look at the details of what is currently active in the system. So we looked at SM50, SM66, SM12 is lock entries. So if I look at SM12, it will show me if there are any lock entries in the system. And this is important because SAP does lock management at the application level, in addition to what's happening at the database level, right? It does locks at the application level. In fact, we can see the locks, how they appear. So as a case in point, if I were to start another session, right, I can log in again through another session, right? Same user, right, does not matter. Without ending any of the previous logons, right? And I can go into SU01 transaction, which is a transaction to change a user, right? So batch 48 is a user which we just created for the team. If I go to change it, the reason I've come here to change it is because I noticed one thing. This is a user ID which you will all share. But now if I refresh it, since I'm in a change mode, I see this one lock owned by Ajay Dhingra on table USR04, which is the user master record table. Right? That lock entry is there because I'm in this change mode here. Right? And I came in this change mode here. I just wanted to actually make this user a service user so that the password never has to be changed or never expires, right, since this is going to be shared by you guys, right? So now that I've saved it, I go back here, I refresh it. Should the lock be there since I've saved it? No, I've saved it, right? So my work is done. Lock is no longer there, right? What happens now? This is a trick question. So let's say I go in and I'm in change mode. Is the lock there? Going to be there when I refresh? No. It's there, right? It's an exclusive lock. I'm in this change mode, right? And then, the help desk calls you. You're the basis admin newbie, right? Very excited at the job, and they say, oh, we are seeing this lock entry, right? We are not able to work through. Help desk ticket comes in. Or you say, I learned about SM12 transaction. Go into the SM12 transaction. They're requesting that just delete this lock. It's preventing us from working. You say, yes, Ajay taught me. Delete button. Delete. Lock is gone. Right? And the screen popped up while you were sipping your cup of coffee and you said, X out of it, who's going to read it all? Here is the user who was in this transaction. What did you just do?
Cancel out what he was doing.
No, I didn't cancel out what he's doing. So if this user wanted to change this to uppercase SAP, he can still change it to uppercase SAP and indeed save. What did I really do? I deleted his lock before he saved.
So you're allowing the user to access before?
No, and this user saved it, right? And if he displays it again, It is uppercase SAP. Right? So what we really did, what did we really do, right? We got rid of his lock. Means what could have happened is that between the time I got rid of his lock and the time he saved, if somebody else came in and changed the same record, those changes are lost. Right? Just play this back in an ATM scenario. Right? The husband went in, is in the middle of processing a transaction in the ATM machine. The balance is showing $1,000. Right? Say, oh, I want to withdraw 800. But somebody deleted the lock, and the wife came in at the same time. You know, she's also seeing, oh, balance is at 1,000, right? I can also withdraw $800, right? So, but they both cannot withdraw $800, right? This scenario would let them both withdraw because the lock was not there. That means they both could go into a withdraw transaction at the same time. Or in this case, you know, a change transaction at the same time, right? So obviously, it is not data corruption, data integrity issue, right? Data corruption is slightly different connotation, meaning that, you know, the way I wrote it to the disk got corrupted or something, right? But the integrity of the data is lost because it was changed without taking a lock on it, right? Or you did take a lock, but somebody deleted it, right? So the reason I'm stating this is the fact that the locks are visible at the SAP level gives the basis admin that privilege and ability to delete it, same as a DBA would have in a database. And also the fact that, you know, locks in SAP are kept at the application level, that's what makes it database agnostic. The fact that it can work with multiple databases. And also it makes the lock management easy because lock management is happening at an entity level. Sales order can be locked. But the sales order might manifest itself in 200 different tables. You don't want to deal with locking 200 different tables, right? You just want to lock a sales order that nobody should change it because I'm changing it, right? At a business entity level. So just kind of giving you an example, right? And kind of showing it to you as well. So, and this is to, you know, kind of get your hands dirty and kind of tell you the kind of things you're going to see, you're going to learn about, right? PFCG, this is a transaction used for role management to create security roles, right? So if I look at the role here, specific roles have been given to the batch 48 user, right? So a basis admin role has been provided to this user, right? So we have not just gone ahead and given SAP all to the batch 48 user. SAP all is giving carte blanche all access to SAP. You know, perhaps that's what I have, right? Our security admin probably has given me a SAP all, right? But not to the batch 48. This is what you would be using. Has not given SAP all, has given specific roles. Where were these roles built? They were built in the PFCG transaction, right? So if I go to the PFCG transaction, and if I go to ZS basis F4, right, one of these, this is, if I display it, right, so this basis administrative role, you know, which he has built, right, providing certain specific basis related activities you can do, some specific authorizations related to that have been provided. That means the role has been built which can only let you do certain things, right? So if I come here, open this fully here, right? I can see what all has been provided, right? some specific transactions which you can do, right? These seem like all basis transactions, right? AL08 is one of the ones we looked at, right? So I just wanted to show that. That's the other transaction, which we said we would look at. SN13 is for updates. SAP uses asynchronous updates. That means when you update the system, it doesn't say that hold, show you an hourglass and it's updating in the background, right? It actually says, okay, you can continue to do what you want to do. I'm going to asynchronously go and update in the background. That gives you a perception of a much faster system processing, right? System logs, we looked at SM21, right? So that's all good. Moving on, since we have only 15 odd minutes left, I wanted to kind of go through some of the frequently asked questions. How are the opportunities in SAP? It's the most lucrative and sought after field in IT, right? And even within it, basis is even more lucrative than other SAP disciplines because it's not easy to build a basis skill set. Even though you're learning it, you will see that as you learn through it, it's very, very vast, right? It's, an ABAP programmer only has to do one programming language. You can only do so much as an ABAP programmer, right? Basis, you've got different databases, different operating systems, performance management, capacity management. Just the magnitude is immense, right? When I started in basis, after first year, I thought I knew, 20-30% of what there is to know in basis. And since then, that percentage is dropping down, right? After, now close to 20 years, I feel I still only know 10 to 15%. Why? Because the technology area is growing at a much faster rate than which Ajay Dhingra can learn it, right? So it's outpacing me, right? In spite of the fact that I'm actively involved and doing the same thing, but as a human being, you just cannot keep up with the rate at which technology is changing, right? If you need to especially have in-depth skills. And most trainees are able to find employment or engagement within a short duration of time if you're good, right? If you've done thorough analysis, you've learned well, you've gotten the certification, right? A lot of demand out there. Do you provide any certification? Yes, we provide certification for our training, but as I mentioned earlier, the certificate of value is getting the SAP certification for Basis or for HANA. Do you help with placements after the course is done? Yes, and we talked about that. We have a specific service offering called KPSO, Coach Placement Service Offering, where our focus is in and around preparing you with mock interviews, marketing you, getting a resume in order, etc., right? Do you provide remote access? Do you provide remote access for the servers? Yes. And not only do you have remote access, you have 7/24, and you have seen it, right? That you can access it, different resources have accessed the system, from different parts of the globe. How to attend the SAP class remotely, and if you can do it, yes. Most of the people are remote today, right? So Microsoft Live Meeting is at the center of being able to provide you with this capability, right? How long after the training do I have access to the servers? You have it for 3 months after the training. Even after that, we just don't take it away, even though, we have a cost structure for it after that. But, our goal is to make sure that you are able to learn, right? Yes, KPSO is available for remote students as well. All students attended remotely anyhow, right? It makes it easy because it's at different times of the day. Full form is KPSO, Coach Placement Service Offering, right? Okay. Case study, right? So, how do other students benefit from this training? And so somebody had asked me that, Ajay, just walk us through somebody whom you felt took it very seriously, went through the whole 9 yards, and how did he or she benefit? So I said, okay, I'll kind of give you a case study, and since then we have had it here. So this is the lady, right, who, those are just her initials, who attended the course, a little while ago, right? I just picked up that as an example, since this example has been there for some time as well. She was from batch 29, attended in 2010. April to June was the course, April, May and June, at that time the course used to be, 12 weeks. She attended that version of it. She attended the KPSO in October to Jan. That means for some time here she was busy with some of her personal stuff for 6 months or so, not 4 months or so. She attended the KPSO. In the middle of the KPSO she got certified. Right? So took the certification exam. We marketed her for 2 months, and she started with Accenture in April. Right? So that's her timeline. So that means if you discount these months of July, August, September, right, these 3 to 4 months where she had a personal thing going on, from October and in April she was actually working, right? She did the KPSO, she did 2 months of marketing, and this was her previous training, right? So 3 months of training, 3 to 4 months of KPSO because she was, there was December in the middle there, right? 2 months of marketing, right? And then working, right? So that's her story. She did everything remotely, right? She was from Canada. Very focused, asked questions in each of the class, before we started, the topic of the day. Very active in the class itself, asking the right questions. Completed all the homework on time, including the very difficult exercise on installation. When she did get certified, she got certified with 90%. This is her certification, right? So 2010, you see here, 90%. In most of the areas, she had 100%, right? These are different areas in which they test you. SAP Internet Technology, she didn't do well, right? Had 66. System configuration, we spent a lot of time on this. She had 50%. She got a year full from me on this. Outside of that, she did relatively good. Overall, she had a 90%, right? She did, this was before we did HANA, right? So this was an Oracle database. That's what I wanted to cover, and I think I have 10 minutes. I've kept it on time for 12:30. Any questions you might have, right, in the material we have covered, or something which will help you make the decision that is this the right thing for you? I can answer, or Raj can answer those for you. People who are remote, people who are here. There's one question. Yes, there's one prerequisite for this course, intent. Right? You need to have the intent to really learn, pick up, and move forward, right? That desire to make a change. Right? So that's there. How soon the recordings are made available? Typically over the weekend itself. So you should see them either later tonight or tomorrow morning. They're going to be uploaded. Right? Do we need to install SAP Windows, right, on Windows? SAP backend, the server is installed on Red Hat, RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux.
How similar is SAP's ERP system compared to other ERP systems in the market at the moment?
The technology is not the same, how it has been built. The overall functionality is similar, right? Means invoice processing or sales order processing or HR, right? Those business functions are very similar. SAP is just more comprehensive, but has got little competition, right? The competition which is now framing up is from some of the cloud providers like Workday, which has a very well-defined HR solution, right? And then obviously, you know, Oracle / PeopleSoft, right, from the past. Can we evolve from basis into other areas? Yes, yes. In fact, Solman is very related to basis, right? So you cannot learn Solution Manager or maybe most of the modules within Solution Manager without having the basis underpinning, right? In fact, we used to teach the Solution Manager course for the longest time, then we stopped it because there wasn't enough interest in it as compared to the basis course, right? So, but we have still provided you with some of those recordings, and we are going to teach the basis course portions of it with Solution Manager as the system itself. Can't log in on SAP GUI here, it says access denied. So Timothy, couple of clarifications. Are you connecting from your home? That means you do not have anyone blocking any of your ports. That's one question. The second is it says access denied. So I'm thinking that you're putting wrong user ID or password. So let me know the user ID password you're putting in as well, right? So let me know whether you're doing this from home and what user ID password. No, for certification there are no other prerequisites. You just need to take it. And depending upon where, you know, I'm not sure where you are located in US or abroad, that country should have, you know, the certification, you know, avenues available, right? I know in US it's fairly simple. You just go to Pearson VUE Center. Some countries have found it very complex, especially in South Africa, and I think in some of the Middle East countries, you know, SAP is just, you know, they don't have Pearson VUE kind of a concept there. Host name unknown. Yeah, so when you're connecting, if you're connecting from, let's say, your work location or some place where they have blocked certain ports, you will not be able to connect, right? So you need to make sure that the ports are open, right? And if it says host name unknown, for this connection, I'm not even giving you a host name, I'm giving you an IP address, so make sure that you're using these entries to connect, right? Yeah, I'm going to share that again, yeah, since multiple people are asking that. Yeah. Yes.
The person in your case study, he or she did well. What was her background, educationally wise?
Education-wise, she was an engineer, if I recall, from India.
Now, for you to get a job after certification, is it most likely mandatory that you do have IT degree?
No.
Okay.
No. In fact, in any IT discipline, that's no longer the case. And in fact, it's the most accepting of all, you know, career tracks, you know, you have there, right? I've been doing IT work, you know, you'll find people coming from arts background, liberal arts, you know, people with accounting background, people with just associate's degree, people who just with high school degrees, right? As long as you pick up the material, you know what you are doing, right? You'll find it very easy to break into the market, right? Yes, for certain promotions, certain key, career track jobs, maybe a graduate degree is a requirement, but even if it is, it's not specific that it needs to be in computer science, IT, or engineering. It just so happens that if you have an engineering background, you tend to pick up material faster. And it's not just that you're intelligent, it's just that you have been groomed for 4 years to learn from first principle, right? Somebody has taught you a formula, and then you're able to apply that formula to a real business or a technical, issue. So it's just that your ability to read and learn, see and learn, do and learn, those three things just become much more refined if you're an engineering or a science graduate. So there are 3 questions. No, they're not downloadable. No, but available for 1 year. The reason they're not downloadable is, I think maybe 7 or 8 years ago, somebody came to our office saying that, Ajay, are you interested for your students to buy some good training material? I said, yeah, I'm always keen, right, if there's something good they can benefit from. He gives me a CD. I said, okay, I'm busy right now, I'll look at it. And later that evening, I popped it in and started playing back, and I was like, that voice sounds very familiar to me. I went through it, so then I called that guy, where did you get it from? He said, I bought it from Hyderabad. So then, since then, we stopped allowing people to download it. Unable to ping. No, you won't be able to ping. You won't be able to ping. That's the whole point. 10.0.1.46. Why? I'm going to keep this question here. You won't be able to ping it. The question back to you, Burhanuddin, is that why? Or anyone else? Ajay, I've attended, and yeah. Yep. Okay. So, yeah, Vikas, I remember you attended our KPSO as well, so maybe here's another case study, right, of a person who went through the training program. KPSO has been working now in the SAP world, Vikas, for two years. So I think you need to reinvent to a little bit, Vikas. I think you would have already seen with your colleagues and others where you work that the requirement for HANA is beefing up. So I think if you attend this course, you don't need to attend all aspects of it. But since since HANA is weaved in and a significant portion of it is at the tail end, so I think what you can do is just register for that portion of it, and we have got that option available as well, and Amol is aware of it. In fact, when Raj and I designed it, we took that into account, that we covered significant HANA pieces at the tail end of the course. So people who are already basis literate can still benefit. No, we do not. We used to, but no longer. We cover some security in the current course, but only for what a basis administrator needs to know. Correct. So Mohan is answering Burdin's question. So good. So I think people are already picking up, right? We have designed it this way, that we have secured our system, and we secured it in the cloud, and we are teaching you about those security concepts, right? So the answer to that lies in this slide, which Raj has put together for you guys, and I talked through it, is because of this, right? You are sitting here, country B, and you want to finger me in country A, not allowed. Ping, right? No way. Yes, you can come and meet me in the demilitarized zone. you know, get your flag with yourself, I'll get my flag, we can have a cup of tea. That's allowed. Right? So that's the whole notion. Hopefully that answers your question with a good example. What the user password is it? Oh, what's the password for batch 48, right? I think I updated the slide here. It's welcome with an uppercase W. Here's another question. Oh, it's the question. Oh, sorry. I had a typo there. It's welcome fully spelled out. There's an E as well. All right, if no more questions, actually I didn't ask the names. You guys didn't log in, right? So could you introduce yourself?
I'm Vishnu.
Vishnu. All right. And yourself?
Russell.
Russell?
Russell.
Could you spell it for me?
R-A-I-S-U-L.
R-A-I-S-U-L. All right. And yourself, please?
Kenneth.
Kenneth? Okay. None of you have registered yet, right?
No.
No.
Not on Yahoo.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to look at the list, which I'm
Yeah, I'm
all
registered on Yahoo.
Oh, yeah, Kenneth Guild, right?
Yeah, Guild.
Yeah. I have that. And both of you have not registered. Yeah. All right. Good. So any other? Oh, there are two more questions while I was distracted here. Yeah. Well, that's the reason I changed it to the service account, Mohan. Right. So now, if you recall, I noticed that, and I changed the user from dialog to service. With the service, it should stop asking that question, because that's service users, you don't get that question asked anymore. Yeah, so you know the question is not being asked anymore, right? So was asked the first time around, and I noticed that it was set up as a dialog user, and we know that it's a new system, but we know from past experience that we want it to be service. It helps. I am still having issues. Host name. Okay. Yeah. So so Goa Ramadugu, right? So let's see. Are you working from home? Can you advise if you're working from home? And your ISP router does not block anything, right? If you answer this for me, then I can help you. And I want to show how we can help, because that's part of the course, is that I can take control of people's machine, right? And this way I can see what they're doing, and that helps to you know, to understand what people are up to, right? So okay, so once we start remote desktop sharing, so Goa, you will get a request from me, accept it, then I should be able to see your, and the whole class should be able to see your machine, unless you don't want us to see it. Okay, so this is his machine, this is the error, right? So this is, I'm seeing his machine, everyone else is seeing his machine as well, right? So this is the error he is getting. Okay, so why is it even going to... Okay. Right, let's look at this entry. Oops. I'm in control of your machine, so please let me have control of the mouse. You have not made any changes to the services file and you are not VPN, etc., right? Goa, can you confirm that to me? So this looks right to me. I think your setup is right. Looks like either your ISP or something is blocking port 3299. Hostname empty. Take a go outside. Take a left. Go outside, and it's after the elevator. Bank for elevators. Yeah, I think something is preventing port 3299. Yeah, something is. Okay, we'll have to look at this. Go on later. Send me the screenshot of this error message. Because your error message is somewhat. The fact that it says hostname is empty bothers me, and the hostname is not really empty. Did you just that also AU1 SAG? That's not even our machine. Okay, let's do this. Okay, can you open me a command prompt, please? I'm unable to open it from your start menu. Thanks. Oh.
No.
No, yeah, you can go out and come back in. $52.20. So you can ping the SAP router. No, telnet is not enabled on your. Is this your machine name? Win AU1.
I think that's the router machine, right? That's the router.
Yeah, but how's it resolving? I don't see
I'm
that.
just wondering, is it connected to like some kind of VPN or something? Is he under a VPN connected to office network?
He said no. He responded back to that. He's not connected to an office network. But that doesn't seem like.
What is the IP address of this PC? I mean, I'm just seeing some entries in the route tab. I'm just trying to see, what's going on.
It is.
That's 105, right? 168, 105.
Yeah, but that's in his network, right? So can you spawn a browser and do what's my IP? I think what's your public IP? We don't know in that machine. That's what we would be seeing. So that's what we should be seeing on SAP router.
32.
All right. So anyhow, we'll so it looks like a little bit more complex than what we thought. This specific issue which you are seeing, perhaps. So we will have to kind of see if we are seeing anything for that IP address. Raj, just make a note of it. The other individual, could be a local firewall preventing it, etc. Right? So if there's any local firewall, any local SAP router which is blocking port 3200 series, 3600 series, you have to open them up.
Yeah, right now I see only for 3200.
Okay, and then Timothy, we can look at yours real quick. You're saying you're working from home. Are you seeing similar symptoms as Gova is seeing? Then perhaps there's a firewall which is blocking these ports for you as well, which is running on your machine. Could you answer that? You should have received from Amol. For people who have not registered, right, you won't be getting all the material, right, anyhow, right? So you have to register, for Amol to be sending all the details to you, etc. Gova, try to just try to shut down momentarily your Windows firewall if you have it running, or any antivirus which has a firewall. Just stop it for a second and retry it. That I can just give that suggestion, right? If you have any antivirus firewall, or if you have got Windows firewall on, just turn them off. See if that helps. Then you at least know that that's what's preventing it. Then you can allow them for port 3200 series and 3600 series. Timothy, you didn't respond back. I'm not sure if you have a similar issue. I'm going to present my screen back again. Alright, so Timothy might have dropped off then. Yeah, I can see him. Alright, let's end here. Use the Yahoo group for people who have registered. Use the Yahoo group to ask questions. We'll reconvene next week and we'll start with the formal coursework. Alright?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ajay.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.